It's Record Store Day 2025. Ahoy hoy everybody, and welcome to my haul video for Record Store Day 2025. So as usual, I went to my local record shop, A Slice of Vinyl. Last year I went overnight. I got there just before 10 p.m. and camped overnight for their opening at 8 a.m. This year I didn't want to do that. It was very tough last year doing that. It wiped me out, and tomorrow, as I record this, and maybe as you're watching this, I've got to be up at 4:30 to go to work anyway, so I don't want to go into that not having slept for more than 24 hours. So I decided I'd head in early hours of the morning, so I got a couple of hours kip at home, only literally but 2.5 hours, but that's better than nothing. And I set an alarm for 1 o'clock, got up, showered, etc., and headed to A Slice of Vinyl, and I got there about 1:45, by which point I was about, depending on, because there were some couples, so probably 16th, 17th in the queue, maybe 15th, 14th, depending on how those couples were counted. But I was happy with that. I've been back in the old days when you didn't have to get there really silly o'clock. I've been further back and got everything I wanted, so I was pretty confident I'd be alright. I also knew that the popular titles that I wanted, they had loads of copies. The stuff they only had 1 or 2 copies of. The reason behind that was because nobody else would have asked for them. They were just stuff that I'd requested, because that's how they worked it. If only one person requested it, they'd only order one in. If 2 or 3 people had ordered them, they might order 3 or 4, you know. And then obviously for the bigger stuff, they just ordered a smeg load. So I wasn't overly concerned. Plus also, although I have bought for myself 18 titles, none of them would have been the end of the world if I didn't get. And I'll explain some of those thoughts as I go through them. But yeah, they opened at 8, so people who've watched previous years will know that normally Kira and Emma, the kids, and whoever's working with them that weekend would normally come along and do coffees for it, or tea, or, you know, whatever hot beverage you require for everybody in the queue, and they'd also come along with donuts. They didn't quite do that this year. Last year they only just got everybody served in time before opening, and it was getting dangerous trying to, you know, send these hot drinks around basically and get them all out on time. It was becoming a bit of a health and safety problem. So they decided not to do that this year, and that's perfectly understandable. But what they did do, they had a little pull-along trolley, and in it they had loads of cup drinks, so almost like squashes in a cup. You'll remember them from your childhood, I'm sure, with a straw that you poke through the top to drink. They had them in orange, blackcurrant, I'm sure there was one more, apple, I think, and raspberry. I picked a raspberry one because I love raspberry. And they had some packaged sort of long life chocolate croissants, or a selection of topped flapjacks. So I grabbed a Bakewell flapjack, which went down very well. The drink was nice. It was a shame not having a hot drink because it was cold this morning. So the road they're on, Stoke Road in Gosport, it's a bit of a wind tunnel down from the harbour. Even though it's quite a way, it is a straight line with nothing obstructing. So it is a bit of a wind tunnel, although it wasn't overly windy, but it does sort of bring the cold air off of the sea. And also the side of the road they're on doesn't get any sun, so again it's that much colder. So I think it was down about 8 or 9 degrees. It wasn't as cold as last year, that was bitterly cold. But my lap was getting cold. I did consider going back to the car and getting the blanket that we keep in the boot, but then I would have had to had an extra thing to deal with when it was time to go in, so I didn't bother. But it wasn't so bad that I was suffering. It was just, you know, that feeling when you're just that little bit cold, if you see what I mean, and you think, oh, this would be much better if I wasn't that little bit cold. But yeah, I've sort of lost my train of thought. Oh, we're about a hot drink, yeah. But it was, you know, it was nice to have something other than water to drink. Although it wasn't overly raspberry-y, but obviously that's not Slice of Vinyl's fault. But yeah, as I say, about 16 from the queue, did what they usually do, let somebody in, get their titles, and then while they're paying, let the next person in. So it didn't take too long. They allow everybody 5 minutes, but that's, you know, not a hard and fast rule, and most people were in and out in less than that time. So I was in about 8:30, I think I got in there. Obviously I had a long list, but what I'd done, they did a video Friday night showing what they had and the layout, and everything was in alphabetical order. They alphabetise, as most of you do, I'm sure, by surname. I always alphabetise by Christian name. So I had to rewrite my list, and so I put it in the order they had it, so we could start at one end and just work our way round. Emma took my list from me and was grabbing all the titles. Her daughter Ali held them for me, and then when it was my time to pay, I took them from her, thanked her, and went up to Kieran to pay. So it was a nice, easy process. Just as a couple of asides, I will get to showing what I've got eventually, but you know I like to waffle on these videos. Firstly, we did get gift bags. I'll show that in a second. Secondly, the queue actually started at 7:35 a.m. Friday morning. A guy turned up, so he was queuing for more than 24 hours. That's what he wants to do. That's what he wants to do. Personally, I think it's silly. I think it spoils it, because it just means next year the queue's going to start even earlier. It always happens that way. It's a knock-on effect. People panic. Secondly, from what I could see, and I might be wrong, he might have had other stuff, but from what I could see, he only bought the Oasis box set. They had 50 copies of that box set, so there was no panic about him having to be there 24 hours early and first in the queue to get a copy of it. But as I say, if that's what he wanted to do, that's what he wanted to do. Yes, so first 10 people in the queue had gift bags. There was 5 really good ones, and then 5 still good but not so great ones. Because what lots of places do is all the signed stuff they get as promos through the year and posters and stuff like that, they sort of save them up and give them out in goodie bags for Record Store Day. Kieran and Emma don't do that. If they get signed stuff through, if you buy that album from them, they'll give you that signed stuff, basically, or that poster if you want it, you know. So they don't have a backlog of signed goodies to give away. They've given away albums in the past. They've given away DVDs, CDs, all sorts in the past. I don't know what was in those earlier gift bags. I haven't got a clue, because obviously I was further back. But then the next 40 people in the queue got one of these little goodie bags. And then I'll explain something when I show you what was in here. So as usual with them, it's basically just sugar. So it's a drumstick, a flump, a little jelly dinosaur, and then there's a local guy. He's a customer of the store. I've met him a number of times, called Paul, and he runs a charity called One Box of Fudge, where basically he makes fudge, sells it, and donates all the profits to charity. And it's various charities, all local. He was up for a Pride of Britain award this year. You know, he's doing really good work. And Slice of Vinyl ordered 50 mini bags of fudge from him to give to the first 50 people. Now, this flavour is normally called Rue. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it looks nice. But it's been renamed Happy Record Store Day. So a little bag, 3 blocks of fudge. it's got to be it by the 1st of May. Don't think that'll be a problem. I'll give it a few hours. And then also in them was one of these. So this, they've given us badges and stickers in the past. This year is a little bottle opener key ring saying A Slice of Vinyl RSD 2025. They had 70 of these, so the next 20 people in the queue got one of these, even though they didn't get a gift bag. But yes, there's one other thing, but I'll talk about that at the end. Let's get on to what I've got. So I'll put these in alphabetical order. This is my alphabetical order, so this is by first name. So the first thing I got was Dannii Minogue's Neon Nights Remixed for $29.99. Reworks from various people, and more on clear blue vinyl. Technically not clear if it's blue. I think they mean transparent. So I collect Dannii Minogue. I think the Neon Nights album is good but overrated. I prefer Girl. And I'm not, a big fan of remixes and what have you, but for the collection, for completeness, I wanted this. But yeah, if I hadn't have got it, it wouldn't be the end of the world. But they had quite a few copies of this. They must have had a few people request it. So happy that I managed to get one. Next up is David Bowie. So this is Ready, Set, Go, live at Riverside Studios 2003. The first concert broadcast live globally via satellite, now available for the first time. So yes, in 2003, has it got the exact date on here? Not on the outside. To launch the Reality album, he performed the album in full on this satellite broadcast, and this is the recording of it. I believe it is missing a couple of extra tracks he performed on that gig, some that weren't from that album. I'm sure I read that somewhere. So this was $51.99 for a double album, so pretty steep, but it's record store day prices. Comes with a poster. Of the Reality artwork, or some of the Reality artwork. September the 8th, 2003. And then everything done in the Reality style, typography and what have you. It's just black vinyl. So yeah, this was, one I wanted a lot, because I collect Bowie, and particularly, even though I've only fairly recently started getting his albums on vinyl, because I had them all on CD at least twice. I have been collecting the record store day releases ever since I've been doing record store days. So wanted this to continue that. But I was also well aware that I probably wouldn't have any trouble picking it up on the aftermarket if for some mad reason I hadn't been able to get a copy today. Get back in. So yeah, it's 2 LPs, but it's not a gatefold. But yeah, really happy to have that. And because this is what I do for Bowie, I also picked up the CD version for $14.99. Which is again in a gatefold. And is it across 2 CDs? No, that's just the booklet. So the booklet is that same poster, but then with the track listing and everything on the back. And there's the CD. And I don't think I showed you the gatefold, did I? There's the gatefold. So yeah. Sort that out later. Okay, next up we have Gorillaz live from the Apollo Theatre, Harlem, New York, 2006, limited edition red double vinyl, $39.99. So this is what it says it is. It's live recording on a Demon Days tour from 2006. So I have all Gorillaz studio albums, so wanted this for the collection, but again, it's one that I could almost certainly be able to pick up quite easily on the aftermarket if I'd needed to. I say the aftermarket, I mean, you know, when everywhere is allowed to sell their remaining stock online come Monday. Usual great artwork and a nice red vinyl. Next is Keane. This is Hopes and Fears live on their 20th anniversary of Hopes and Fears tour. So it's the album played live in Mexico City in 2024. Limited edition green and white splatter vinyl. So Keane are another band I sort of collect all their RSD releases. This was $36.99. And then I've got I think I've got all, I want to say all their albums on CD. I might be missing one or two. Because a lot of them I've sort of picked up. I sort of only got their first album and I've only sort of gone back and got the others later. But I also have Hopes and Fears on vinyl, their greatest hits on vinyl, and then all their RSD releases again since I've been doing RSD. Yeah, that's very pretty. I like it a lot. However, the pictured image is a lot greener, but that's the thing with splatter, it varies significantly. But yeah, that's a very pretty one. Happy with that. Next up is Madness, Take Cover. So I haven't in the past bothered with the B-side collections from Madness, although I might try and go back and get them if they're not too silly priced. Because I was still collecting... It's only fairly recently that I've sort of properly collected Madness's albums. But now I've got all their studio albums now. This is a compilation of various cover versions they've done over the last 40 years. Curated by the band on exclusive translucent red vinyl. So there's obviously One Step Beyond is a cover, so that's on here. It Must Be Love, likewise. Madness, likewise. Sweetest Girl, likewise. But then it's got things like In the Hall of a Mountain King, My Old Man, the Chas and Dave song. No, not Chas and Dave song. Why am I saying Chas and Dave song? The Ian Dury song. John Lennon's Oh My Love. Various others. So it's a little insert. Does it say on yeah, it does say on each one, originally recorded by bloody bloody blah. And then a polylined inner on translucent red, as they say. So yeah, I thought this was I liked the sound of this release because a lot of these are sort of tracks that appeared on, you know, tribute albums and things like that, rather than on Madness's own released stuff. Mark Knopfler, so I have all of Mark's albums and have, again, all his RSD releases since I've been doing RSD I have picked up. So this is One Take Radio Sessions, limited edition 20th anniversary release, 8 live tracks, each recorded in a single take at Shangri-La Studios, California, available for first time on vinyl, 180 gram black vinyl pressing, $29.99. So that's the track listing. Just a little tip that I've sort of picked up from a slice of vinyl, and today's the first time I've actually bothered doing it. guitar picks are perfect for opening up records because they're not sharp enough to that you're worried about cutting into the sleeve or anything that's inside, but they're sharp enough to get through the cellophane easily. So yeah, a polyline sleeve. Nothing too exotic there, but nice to have. Next up, also $29.99, is Melanie C's Reason. So this is her second album. This is the first time it's been available on vinyl. And it also has B-sides and live versions on here as well as bonus tracks. Not my favourite Melanie C album, that'll be the C. But at least it's proper. It's a bit more safe than Northern Star, which sounds strange to say given that Northern Star was such a big hit. But it's a bit less edge to it. But nice to have on vinyl. It makes a change from them re-releasing Northern Star on vinyl for the umpteenth time, which they have. It's had about 3 recent reissues, I think. So hopefully this means they're going to work their way through the catalogue. But yeah, glad to have that. And $29.99 for double album. That's good. So I don't always pick up the Miles Davis releases because a lot of them have been sort of outtake albums, so Bitches Brew outtakes and stuff like that. But this is a nice live recording featuring John Coltrane, Miles Davis Quintet at the Kerr House. A rare glimpse of Miles Davis and his quintet in full flight during one of jazz's most revolutionary periods, featuring Coltrane, Kelly, Cobb and Chambers. Its live recording reinvents compositions with fiery tempos, fearless improvisation and boundless energy, a must-hear document of jazz at its creative apex. It's on blue vinyl, $32.99. But this is sort of peak. Although I like all eras of Miles Davis, for me, the kind of blue, Sketches of Spain, Porgy and Bess, Round Midnight, that era is what really does it for me. And this is around that time. It's got So What on it. It's got Round Midnight on it. On Green Dolphin Street, Walking and The Theme to be complete. So black polylined inner on blue vinyl with, as they say, with nice orange labels. So I'm looking forward to listening to that. It's been a while since I bought any jazz, so that was another reason why I wanted to. For my Peter Gabriel collection, OVO. So it's 2 LP, blue and orange vinyl, 33 1/3 RPM half-speed remaster. Includes a download code, $39.99. So this was the music he composed for the Millennium Dome. A little, I think it was a film or something that was played in there that he did the music to. I think this is the first time it's been available on vinyl. It doesn't say that, but I'm sure I've read that in the bump before Record Store Day. So yeah, a nice addition from my Peter Gabriel collection. So we have credits and a little bit of bump at the top, and that's blue. And then in back half we have a booklet, The Story of OVO. It's a proper decent size booklet. It looks like it is a comic strip telling of the story. And then the rest of the credits. And orange. And you'll see that the orange one has got a blue label and the blue one had an orange label. So nicely done. Some thought's gone into it. So next up is the one that I'm sure you're all expecting that I would have bought, and yes, I did. It's the Prince release. So this is Prince of New Power Generation live at Glam Slam, $69.99. It's a triple album. So, as it says, Record Store Day exclusive. Originally released in the Grammy-nominated Diamonds and Pearls Super Deluxe Edition box set. Now available on exclusive 140-gram 3LP yellow vinyl. So I have this on vinyl and CD in said box set, but that is only black vinyl. And as it says, this is yellow vinyl. So I had to get it. I would have much preferred they released something else, something different, something that wasn't available or has been out of print for a long time, like they have done in the past with the Japanese EP releases and things like that. But yeah, so it's a triple gatefold, which you always have to be careful with because the weight of the records can cause them to tear. So this is, apart from the colour of the vinyl, this is identical to the one in the box set. It's a nice bright yellow. Matches the yellow of his guitar. It is a great, you know, much as I'm dissing on them releasing this, it is a great concert. So it's sort of a warm-up for the Diamonds and Pearls tour, although it's not exactly the same, I'll say track listing, set list, that's the word I'm looking for. So it doesn't feature many, if any, classic tracks. It's more working on the new material that would be in those shows. And then some of those didn't appear. I always forget, but the last side of this is an etching, so it's not as clear on the yellow as it is on the black. It's very nice on the black, but it's the Diamonds and Pearls album cover with Prince with Diamond and Pearl. So yeah, as I say, the completist in me needed to buy this. But yeah, it's got Nothing Compares to You on here, Thieves in the Temple, which only just come out, but was technically a classic track if you like. And the medley of 1999, Baby I'm a Star, which goes into Push. So again, it's a new track involved in that. But all the others are Diamonds and Pearls, or even Love Symbol, whatever you want to call it, album tracks. Next up is Queen, the Delane Lee Demos 2024 mix. So this is a vinyl release of a CD that was in the Queen 1 box set. So it's 5 demos they recorded before recording their debut album at Delane Lee Studios. Newly remixed and oomphed. They sound great, or at least they did on CD. A lot rawer than the finished album versions. And as some of you may know, Queen's debut is my favourite Queen album. So it's nice to have this on vinyl. But as I say, I have it on CD, so if I hadn't been able to get it, it wouldn't have been the end of the world. This was $32.99, which the Queen tax, basically, because it's only a 5-track EP. Next up is Sly Stone, the Autumn Sessions 1963 to 1965. Soul, gospel and rock collide as a young Sly Stone crafts funk's foundation, recorded between 1963 and 1965 at Autumn HQ. These tracks capture Sly's new genius before his global fame with the Family Stone. 45 RPM high fidelity green vinyl. So it's 8 tracks, but 45 RPM, that's interesting. They can't be particularly long, I would imagine. So yeah, for my Slime Family Stone collection, but again, not essential if I hadn't been able to get it. But I'm glad I have. Just a plain inner, not polylined, translucent emeraldy green. And then there was a, that was $32.99, I can't remember if I said that, for $39.99, and this is the only copy that my record shop had of this. This is Slime Family Stone of the First Family, live at the Winchester Cathedral 1967. Is that the Winchester Cathedral? No. I'd just wonder if it had been recorded just down the road from me, but it hasn't. It's Winchester Cathedral, Redwood City, March 26, 1967. So yeah, this is 2 LPs. No, it's not. Sorry, 2 sides of Slime Family Stone Live, basically. 2025 compilation. Yeah. Sorry, I was just reading the back. So a nice mirrored gatefold sleeve. $39.99 if I haven't already mentioned this. Bear in mind I'm working off 2 hours sleep. Black, white, male, female, rock soul, Slime Family Stone was a true chimera. On this unissued, unprecedented vintage live recording, we hear them emerge fully formed from the womb. Deluxe RSD edition with gatefold sleeve, lavish 24-page booklet with 15,000-word essay by Grammy-nominated archivist Alec Palau. Pressed on clear wax from a lacquer cut by Kevin Gray. That might mean something to somebody. It means naffle to me. Oh right, okay. So it's a almost tour programme size booklet with said essay in and lots of pictures by the looks of it. That'll be interesting to go through. That's in the front of the gatefold, and then in the back of the gatefold in a very nice protective sleeve. We have a very clear vinyl album. So yeah, $39.99, quite a lot for a single album, but very high quality, from the mirrored sleeve to the booklet to even the inner protective inner. Can't fault them on that. So this is another release that had me going, oh god, I need this for the completist in me, but I'm really angry that they've released it like this. So this is Sophie Ellis-Bextor's release, and it is her Kitchen Disco Live at the London Palladium album on gold vinyl. So this album came out, initially came out CD only 2 or 3 years ago. Then subsequently it was released on vinyl in 2 or 3 different colours, which the Sophie Ellis-Bextor completist in me had to buy. But now, for no other reason really than why not release it again and make some Record Store Day money for $41.99. They've done it on gold. So again, because I've got all the other colours, I had to get this. I seem to remember having this problem with the other releases of it as well. It must be something about the way they do it. It doesn't want to come out of the sleeve. Interestingly, this is numbered. I've got number 1095 out of 2000. I think I'm going to have to tear the gatefold. I have a shrink, unfortunately. Just try and keep the protective, try and keep the pipe sticker intact, which I have, thankfully. So yeah, it's exactly the same as all the other releases of it, which I have shown on the channel. It's on the nice metallic-y gold, rather than a brownie gold, at least. But yeah, I just wish they'd found something else to release. Or not bothered at all, really, you know. It's not essential that they have a release. We have Talking Heads, live on tour 1978, first official release of a complete performance recorded on the 12th... Oh, sorry, it's me reading an American date wrong. On the 18th of December 1978 at Cleveland's Agora during the More Songs About Buildings and Food tour. Limited edition 2 LP set cut at 45 RPM. This is $45.99. So again, I've been collecting the Talking Heads live Record Store Day releases, what they've done over the last 2 or 3 Record Store Days. Just black polyline sleeves, nothing extravagant label wise, and just plain black 180 gram vinyl. Two more to go. A 7-inch single, and as some of you might have expected, it's the Taylor Swift release, $17.99. Fortnight featuring Post Malone. So it's got the standard version on the A side and the Blonde-ish remix on the B side. In my head, I thought it was the acoustic version was going to be on the B side, so that's quite a nice surprise, because if it had been, there's nothing that hasn't already been released on vinyl, but I don't think the Blonde-ish remix has been. Come on out. But a nice release. Got a little inner, nice on white vinyl. I mean, if you told 12-year-old me I'd be paying $17.99 for a 7-inch single, I wouldn't believe myself, but that's the way it is these days. And finally, a soundtrack. So this is Mel Brooks in High Anxiety, which initially when I glanced over it I thought, oh, not my favourite Mel Brooks film, don't remember the soundtrack, won't bother with that. But then when I read the description properly, and as the hype sticker says, also includes music from these Mel Brooks movies, The Producers, Blazing Saddles, Young Frankenstein and more. And it's on red and yellow vinyl. And when I saw the picture of vinyl, I thought, oh, I like that. But it's nice to have the stuff from particularly Young Frankenstein and The Producers. So from the first side is all the music from High Anxiety. When I say all the music, I doubt it's all the music, but it's all music from High Anxiety. And then on side 2, it's got Springtime for Hitler and Prisoners of Love from The Producers. A couple of tracks, or 3 tracks from The 12 Chairs. Blazing Saddles, it's got the theme tune plus The French Mistake and I'm Tired. Young Frankenstein, it's got the main title and Putting on the Ritz. And in Silent Movie, it's got Burt Reynolds' House and the Silent Movie March. So yeah, it's just a nice little mini compilation of music from Mel Brooks films, including 2 of my favourite films of all time, The Producers and Young Frankenstein. So I decided to get this, and it was $37.99. This was another one I only had 1 copy of, which meant I was the only person who had requested it. The chances of anybody impulse buying this was slim, so I wasn't worried about whether I'd get it. Nice gatefold. Talking about the soundtracks, presumably. And then... oh yeah, that's nice. Yeah, happy with that. So those were my purchases. So So they posted prices on the website beforehand. So I totaled up how much it would be. I mean, I won't tell you, but you can work it out for yourself. It was a lot of money. I have recently had a little bonus from work, so that saved me having to put anything on my credit card, thankfully. But it was all, as I say, it was all stuff I either wanted for a particular reason or needed for the collections. But as I say, none of it would have been the end of the world if I hadn't got it. I'd have either picked it up on the aftermarket. Sorry, I must stop doing that. Or just gone without. But I'm glad I got everything I wanted. I did also pick up a copy of the Passengers Original Soundtrack 1 album. Sean Whelan asked me to pick that up for him. I was happy to do so if I could, and I could. So I'll be sending that his way in the next couple of days. But obviously I won't show you that because it's not really mine to show. It's for him. As you may be aware, every year there's an official Record Store Day beer. For various reasons I won't go into. Slice of Vinyl didn't want to stock that this year. Instead, what they've done is they have created their own beer with a local Gosport brewery, Powder Monkey, which they launched on Thursday. They got 200 cans of this, £5 a can, which isn't too bad for independent craft beer. They'd already sold half of them before today, but I picked up a couple of cans. It's called Top of the Hops. It's a DDH Pale Ale, whatever that means. 5.2% volume. Is a double dry hopped, that's what DDH means, double dry hopped pale ale, bursting with mango and tropical fruit flavours from 2 hop additions of Azaka and Amarillo. It pours with a bright golden haze and a soft malt body. So it should look golden and hazy, smell of mango, peach and tropical, and taste juicy with tropical fruits. So they were asked what they wanted the label to be. They just said colourful, and it certainly is that. It's got their logo down the bottom there. So I was just checking something, but no, it looked for a second like they were individually numbered cans, but they're not. So yeah, looking forward to giving that a go. I picked up a couple of those. So there we go. That was my Record Store Day haul for this year. Don't think there's anything that I might pick up. Sometimes, you know, a week or two later, I'll pick up another couple of titles, but I don't really think there is anything this year extra that I'm likely to. If you're wondering, Blur Magic Whip, I would have picked up, apart from the fact that they then subsequently announced a better, in my opinion, version of it on vinyl, the gold anniversary release, which is out 2 weeks time. Better to me because the version released today was a Zoetrope picture disc. Don't love Zoetropes. I've got a few, as you're probably aware, but I don't love them anyway because you don't get the full effect unless you look at them through your phone camera and special settings and all that shit. Plus they're picture discs, so sound quality isn't as good. Supergrass, I normally pick up the Supergrass releases, but again it was just a Zoetrope of whichever album it was. Can't even remember which album it was. But I have all the albums on picture disc actually because I've got the Supergrass box set, plus on CD and special edition CDs. So didn't feel the need to get that. Was there anything else that I dithered and nearly got? The Colour Field I was tempted by because I'm sort of collecting Terry Hall, and I've got that album on vinyl anyway, but was tempted for the extra tracks on it. But they did announce at the same time that there was going to be a box set of all the Colourfield stuff coming out on CD, much like we did for Fun Boy 3, and so I'll be getting that anyway, so I didn't feel the need to get to that. How does that say? Oh, the Elton John release. If it had been a full gig, I might have been tempted, but it was just highlights from the gig, so I didn't bother. Rolling Stones, again, I've picked up a couple of their Record Store Day releases. I was tempted by it, but there wasn't. I think if it had been a pretty vinyl, I might have done so, but it wasn't. But yeah, that's it. That was the only other ones that vaguely crossed my mind about getting. There you go. That's it. Not too long, considering there was 18 albums shown, plus all the other stuff. But I hope you found it interesting. Thank you for watching. Like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in another video. Thanks. Bye.